Don't see We Buried the Dead if you want to see a traditional zombie movie where there's tons of gore and heads falling off and all of that. This is a spoiler alert. Honestly, We Buried the Dead, I loved it. I think that it was a great different viewpoint on zombies, and I think it was very realistic viewpoint on zombies. I think if it was anything like if we're going to have zombies in this world today, it would be from something like a US bomb blast near a certain coast and it was an accident somehow or whatever. I do think that was very realistic. The thing that's crazy to me is that, well, we'll get there. Let me start with the theme. The theme for me for this movie, for We Bury the Dead 2026, was more so that some people need closure. And it's how much you will go through to get that closure. Will you go through zombie attacks, a crazy man asking you to pretend you're his wife? Will you go through that just to get the closure that you need from the guilt that you're holding? As we were going on into the movie, you're seeing like how beautiful Ava and Mitch's relationship is at first, and then you start to be like, okay, wait, there's something more to this. There's something that's really driving her to go see Mitch. And at first you're thinking like it's her husband. Of course she wants to see him, but there's something more. There's something deeper that we weren't understanding. And I thought it was amazing how they showed that throughout the movie where you start to see, oh, they fighting. Oh, what happened? To explain where she does cheat on Mitch in their life and in a relationship. And he goes to Tasmania and says, I'll be back in a week, or like, we'll talk in a week. Because the whole movie, I felt like Ava was holding this guilt for cheating on her husband, for him going out there, Mitch going out there to Tasmania, and then this bomb coming off, where then all of a sudden she may never see him again. I thought it was very cool to see her kind of her journey to find this closure. It was interesting from the very beginning how the soldiers were like not telling them much at all. They were to say, if you see a zombie or if you see one of these people, because obviously they didn't call them zombies in this movie, they called, they didn't really even call them anything, which is also interesting. I love how like different zombie movies will call them like the undead, the infected, zombies, whatever. This movie, they didn't really call them anything. They just called them that they were victims of this terrible incident and their nervous systems are shot. Victims are mostly slow. Lies, by the way, because that man on that street was booking it towards Ava. I don't care what nobody say. That was like World War Z type booking. Like, I'm not surviving this if all of them are like this. So it was interesting also to see the different types of zombies that they dealt with. I love how they also like pulled in like the reasoning behind that, where the ones in the beginning were newly dead. And the ones further back as they got further towards Enzo Resort, that was more the zombies that have been dead for a while and now they're frustrated because they don't know who they are anymore and they're going to be more aggressive. And so I do like how they showed that as well, as like they were getting closer. Her, when Ava and Clay went out and started to explore and go on this journey towards Enzo to find her husband, Mitch, you were starting to encounter different types of zombies. So like the first one, of course in the garage, super, super tame, right? But then when they meet the one in the garage where there's the motorcycle, this one's a little different. Grunting her teeth, wakes up, looks at herself in the mirror, almost confused as to who she is or what she is. And I thought that was pretty cool because she wasn't attacking, but it was like kind of like seeing the different stages of what they go through when they do wake up or if they do wake up. That was also cool. They showed it, like called it as like some wake up, some don't. And the ones that wake up have unfinished business. We'll get to that as well. Clay came in and was like, yeah, sure, just to ride this motorcycle, I'll do whatever. I don't really care. We also love hearing about Clay's background and why he is that way. So the movie does really do a good job at explaining why those people are the way that they are in the end. Um, but yeah, when they go through, then you see all these different sides of like how people ended their life or how people spent the last moments of their life. You see people, in a yoga class, you see people who are partying in a garage, and um once they get past that garage scene, that's when things I feel like get crazy. That's when Ava and Clay end up going to that gas station and unfortunately encountering the craziest zombie they've seen the whole time with no foot. So he can't run that fast. So they lucky that time, but was going towards them aggressively. And then old crazy boy Riley comes through. And I'll be honest, the whole time Ava's locked in that fridge or wherever, that room, I was like, oh, he's dead. Clay is dead. Riley killed Clay. We don't know Riley. And Riley's already giving weird vibes. Like, why would you lock me in a room and leave my partner outside? Like, that's crazy. But what I do think now is that I think that Clay realized that Riley was crazy and said, I got to run for this, because Riley does come back, or not Riley, Clay does come back and end up saving Ava, or meeting Ava again, not really saving, but saving her emotionally, meeting her again in, where was it called? Woodbridge. And so I'm thinking, okay, Clay wasn't bad. He just ran away, actually. It was like, this guy is crazy. I got to get out of here. And um hopefully find Ava eventually. I wonder how long he was there, because Ava was stuck in that house for a little bit. A little bit. Um but yeah, once Ava was stuck with just Riley to get to Woodbridge to find her husband, the whole time I'm on the edge of my seat, like, who is Riley? He just does not give a safe vibe at all. And I'm hoping, like, okay, maybe this is just like how they want us to feel, whatever. No. Unsafe for a reason. Once he starts talking about his wife and how she was 2 weeks away from giving birth, and I was like, oh no, he's traumatized. We've seen this in so many other zombie movies where there's different types of people. There's one person who may be like, you know what? I don't even want to live anymore. My family's dead, whatever. There's another type that's like so traumatized that they just want to bring back the family that they had, the life that they had, and they feel like it was ripped from them for no reason. And there's another type that's like Clay almost. That's just like, this is life right now. I'm just trying to help out people who've lost other people. I thought it was great. Ava fought for her life. Fought for her life. Like, she was doing things like survival mode immediately. Like, things that I was like, "Oh yeah, I would do that," because as a female, she was like, I'm going to use every strength that I have as a female in this situation. You want me to put on the wedding ring? I'm going to put on the wedding ring. I don't care, but it makes sense cuz her guilt was so strong, she couldn't, because she had cheated on him. But at that moment, I'm putting on the wedding ring. At the end of the day, it's also ironic because she ends up taking the wedding ring off when she finally sees Mitch and he's dead and he's not coming back. He has no unfinished business. But I'm putting on that wedding ring. Okay. This guy is crazy. He also is from the military. Like, we don't know. He probably has mad moves. Like, whatever. What's a ring? Honestly. Like, what's a ring? And when we come back and we see that he's been studying these beings, this is the first time in the movie that we see that someone actually has education on these people. And although it sounded like he was talking crazy, at the end you kind of see Riley was right the whole time. Like, his wife woke up, actually, and the unfinished business theory might be true, because then afterwards you see a different type of zombie who wakes up and just starts digging a hole for his family to bury. And so it's very, very interesting. You're like, okay, maybe he was right about this, even though he was crazy. He might have actually had the truth about the zombies because he did spend his time actually learning about them this whole time just so he could bring his wife back to have his kid, have a family that he felt was ripped from his hands. Um that part though, if we're going to go back to Riley's wife, Katie, this begs the question of then can these type of zombies or whatever, people who were bombed, nervous system issue humans, can they keep, even though they're dead, really undead, can they have human life in them? Can they keep human life within them? Because it was 2 weeks that she had 2 weeks until she gave birth before like this incident happened. So she was just sitting there allowing the life. I don't know. Begs the question. Different zombie movies have different things that they're able to do and not do. This one kind of says life can still live under a certain time frame. I'm not saying that you get pregnant and then it'll live for the whole 9 months, but it looks like there's a certain window where you could still things will still grow within the body. When Ava saw Katie and then hurt the baby, it was a very interesting ending. I thought it was a beautiful ending. If you really want to like close the whole book on like a happy ending situation, as happy as it can be, was Ava having this child and being able to raise this child because she never was able to have one, and not obviously not with Mitch. But in general, she was having issues with having a child. And then on top of that, baby boy Clay, his wife or ex-wife and daughter said, good riddance. I don't really care about you, even though you're trying to save the world or do these good deeds. Bye bye. So I hope that what happens is, even though there was no romantic piece of it, which I'm totally fine with, I hope that they get to have that happy ending where they can raise a child and create a new life and leave Tasmania in the past. Great film. I would give it maybe an 8.5 out of 10. Originality was there, not like any other zombie movie I've seen. Again, not something that I would expect to or go to expecting like this Walking Dead type, like World War Z type. It's more so like about the journey, um, and what closure you might need if your loved one was on an island that was struck and made you a zombie. I want your thoughts though. Like and subscribe too if you enjoyed this, thought this was insightful. I will definitely be reaching out or posting every week for a TV show or movie. So what would you go through to get some closure? Anyway.